They know that their little foo-foo dog is not trained. They know the little foo-foo dog has repeatedly run into the road. And they still, out of sheer laziness, okay, again, the woman has caregivers, even if she still has to, like that time she had said, well, my caregiver was supposed to be here, but she called in sick, and my dog has to go to the bathroom. Okay, but at least that would only be once in a while. If your caregivers are so fucking lazy that they can't put the dog on a leash, and the dog, I just got proof today of what I was bitching about almost a year ago. You know your dog has run into the street on more than one occasion since you moved here. You know your dog's untrained. At the very least, your able-bodied caregivers, your able-bodied adult children, should put the goddamn dog on a leash. You know what she said to me before? She was trying to make excuses, but she's like, well, he's usually so terrified and he usually runs away from, I'm like, okay, usually it only takes once. People drive around here, especially where you are, faster, sometimes much faster than they're supposed to. Take it from me, I've lived here now for 5 fucking years. I've been walking my dog for 5 fucking years. I've been bitching about people going too fast for 5 fucking years, and I'm hardly alone. I talk to the neighbors. And now I've already told 2 different neighbors. I'm going to tell everyone I meet. Those people have been warned. Their dog was in the street yesterday. Their little foo-foo dog, little Pippion, whatever, Papillon. There's no excuse. You understand? It's sheer laziness. It is sheer laziness. For them to be letting their dog out in the yard to go to the bathroom, or in the case of these caregivers, laziness. You can't put the little foo-foo dog on a leash, and the foo-foo dog obviously doesn't get walked. But you can't put it on a leash? To take it out in the yard? When you have repeatedly seen it runs into the street? What the fuck is wrong with you? I cannot stand shit like that, people. What is wrong with these people? In one ear, out the other. I don't want to see that dog get killed in front of me. You think the dog has looked both ways when it's, and for the record, before I became friends with that woman down the street, I yelled from afar at her. I was friends with her, but I hadn't seen her in a while, whatever. I mean, I wasn't friends. I'd met her walking home on Angel. My mom had met her, whatever. But, you know, prior to she's really come through for me, been a true godsend, okay? But her dog ran in the road and was following me and Omar down the street, okay? Do you think she knows, she has a dog on the runner in the backyard. Do you think the dog had gotten out? She's elderly, the dog got out, just like happened with Omar before and happened with Angel. That's an excuse. These people intentionally let the dog out in the front yard because most of the time, even though he's completely 100% untrained, he was in the road today, okay? They're lucky I wasn't down there. I would have started yelling. And I have every right, because I've repeatedly warned them that your dog's untrained. Why do you let him out without a leash? It's sheer laziness. Not on the part of a woman who's in the wheelchair, obviously, but her caregivers who are strangers, you know, they're not family, or her adult children. I've met her children before, too. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not being unreasonable here, people. You can say, well, it's their business. It's not against the law. You're right, it's not. And it's not against the law for me to fucking say something, is it? Goes both ways, baby. It's not against the law for these people to totally irresponsibly keep letting this little dog out in the front yard. You think it looks both ways when it bounds out when I go by with Omer or another person goes by with their dog or whatever? Do you think it looks both ways? No. It's just been lucky that, it doesn't look both ways. It runs into the street, okay? Over a year ago, whenever it was, I nearly witnessed that cat get killed. But again, a cat's a different story. I told you, that old woman decided that her cat kept getting out. It was an escape artist. She had to make it an outdoor cat. There's nothing she could do, all right? She wanted it to be an indoor cat. It refused. It's still alive. I cannot believe it didn't get eaten by a coyote by now. This has been years. Somebody I was talking to today, practically in tears, they know I'm legitimate. They know I'm genuine. Because I don't want, and I even said, I'm honest, I'm like, I don't want to witness that little dog get killed in front of me or hit or whatever. When these people know better, they've seen it repeatedly, they can't feign ignorance, they can't say they didn't know, they can't say the dog got out accidentally. It doesn't. They let it out to go to the bathroom. I've seen them do it. The caregiver, the lazy fucking bitches, I've seen them. They stand at the door and watch the little dog and call him to come in, okay? Which is all fine and good, except he doesn't always come in, okay? Maybe he might come in 95% of the time, but the other 5% it only takes one time. That's why I compared it to drunk driving. You can drink and drive like my college boyfriend. I find when I'm drunk. Yeah, you do, and you go slow, and you're not going 100 miles an hour or whatever like asshole Eric did. But the reason they don't want people to drink and drive or be under the influence and drive is because in case you have to have that split-second reaction that you're not going to have when you're impaired. It's proven that your reaction time is slower. That's why. Most of the time you'll be fine. Hope is hardly the one. And she told me, oh yeah, when I was younger, I don't even know how I got home. I would inch home. I was very cognizant. She was like, I was aware I was drunk, so I was going slow and I was whatever, but I don't even remember getting home, right? This is the same thing. They're identical. Your dog, you let him on the yard, most of the time he comes back in, most of the time nothing interests him. If Omar and I walk by, and it doesn't have to be me and Omar, today the dog was in the street. He obviously saw something. He can run in the street because he sees an animal across the street, a wild animal. You know what I mean? We have wild animals. When I was saying that to one of I'm going to tell everyone. It's going to get around, I hope. If I'm out with Omar every day now, and I'm going to run into people at the mailbox and whatever, and I'm going to tell them about those people that I pleaded with this woman, and she was really nice, and she explained, because I'm like, but you could be standing there, and you let your dog out, and you're in a wheelchair, you're helpless, and you watch the dog get killed, and she's like, I know, I don't want that, I'll talk to my son about putting up a run or whatever. Obviously, that never happened, but at the very least, put your friggin' foot down with your motherfucking caregivers, or you're paying them. You know what I mean? They're employees. I see them standing at the door. Last time I got so disgusted because it happened after I saw that they are still letting the dog out in the yard, okay? But my life fell apart with my mom happened and whatever, and I wrote a letter and then never gave it to her. I was going to be like, everything I said to you, it was in one ear and out the other. I know you love your dog. He's going to wind up killed one of these days. Maybe not. But you're going to risk it if you love him. I can see you love him. How can you still do that? You know your dog's untrained. You know he runs into the road. and it's happened repeatedly, and you still allow it to happen. How can someone who loves their dog do that? I'm disgusted. I'm so naive, but again, it's happened before with those, when they moved in and their dogs ran to the street. It was because it was an accident, and I told them, you know, your two little dogs just ran into the street. You know, you don't want it. Your dog wind up hit if it's untrained. And she's like, yeah, it was an accident, but it never happened again. And I walked by there every day with Omar. I won't be anymore. I don't go. I used to go with my, you know, before he was blind, and we'd walk for like an hour. Now I'm just going to go the same way every day. But it is by this house. You think it's not going to happen that I'm going to be going by when they're letting that little dog out? I'm going to lose it on them because I've repeatedly warned them, and I'm sickened. I'm sickened. I am sickened. I am sickened that these able-bodied caregivers can't put the little dog on a leash, and he doesn't get and you know what I mean? Anyway, you don't walk him around the neighborhood like we all do with our dogs. At least walk him in the yard. Don't let him out in the yard when he can run into the fucking street, and he's repeatedly done it. He did it yesterday. It's after midnight now. You know? I don't understand that shit. I don't understand why people are so stupid, and the same people that are so stupid are going to cry their eyes out if something happens to their baby. You get it? I don't get it. I would understand if it was someone who I could say, oh yeah, they're assholes. If I lived in a bad, this is like, you don't understand what kind of good neighborhood this is, okay? You just don't even know. Believe me, I am hardly the only one. If people are aware that cares that little dog runs into the street because it's an untrained dog and they're lazy and they won't put him on a leash and take him out to do his little tiny, you know, he's a little tiny thing. I don't know how many times a day they let him out. I just know one of these days the luck is going to run out, okay? I am sickened that this untrained dog is still let out in that front yard and can run right into the street. You know what someone said to me today? They're like, yeah, people think just because it's not like a main road, they're safe. No, they're not. And then he followed it with, and it could be less safe in here than a main road. You know, that's not necessarily true, but you get complacent, you get whatever, okay? These people do, apparently. I'm sickened. I am sickened that after it was everything that I cared to say to that woman, and her dog is still running in the street because it's untrained, and the caregivers think, oh, well, most of the time, hey, Sam, come back in, and he usually does. If nothing excites him. Obviously, I wasn't there today. I was looking from a distance, hundreds of feet, but I knew what was happening. I know where the house is, and I knew that it was that little dog in the street, and of course, they can't even hear me, and I start they probably knew just by my gestures that I'm like yelling because your dog's in the street, but they don't know that I know the history, that I cared enough when the dog was following me and Omar down the street. And the woman, I didn't know this, but then I found out that she's in a wheelchair and can't do anything. She could just yell, and if the dog doesn't listen, you know? But there's no excuse for her caregivers, her able-bodied young caregivers, or her adult children to be still letting that dog out in the yard. It's sheer fucking laziness, and it makes me fucking puke, alright? It makes me puke. And it does affect me, and you can say, well, assholes will say it's not against the law. You're right, it's not. It's also not against the law for me to say something to everybody around here, is it? And to yell at them if Omar and I are going by and to say, I have told you, your dog's going to wind up killed one of these days. I've repeatedly told you that the dog's not trained and you shouldn't have him off leash, period. And yes, I will fucking say that. It's called freedom of speech. They have the freedom to let their dog out, and one of these days it'll be killed. You damn straight I'm going to say something if it affects me. And if I have to witness it. it, okay? And you know the law of averages, it's gonna happen. I'm gonna be walking Homer every day now. You think I won't be walking him at a time that they're not there letting that dog out and he's gonna run in the street? It's inevitable. I actually hope it happens because I am itching to fucking have my say when I tried so hard to prevent this and it's still fucking happening.